Fox News alert, President Trump beginning his landmark trip to Asia. Air Force One taking off from Hawaii a few hours ago and now headed to Japan amid heightened tensions with North Korea over its nuclear ambitions. Hello, everyone. I'm Arthel Neville. Welcome to a new hour of America's News Headquarters.
Arthel,
rolling on.
Good to be with you as always. Hello, everyone, and good evening, everyone. I'm Eric Shawn. The president's tour giving us a first-hand look at the countries that are directly threatened by North Korea's nuclear arsenal. You know, this trip comes after his visit to Hawaii, where he and the First Lady paid tribute at the Pearl Harbor Memorial. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts tonight is live in Tokyo with more on what we can expect from the president's trip, where it is already 7 a.m. in the morning. Hi, John.
Yeah, not just 7 a.m. in the morning, Eric, but 7 a.m. Sunday morning here in Japan. Ohayou gozaimasu, as they would say here in Japan. The president will be arriving in about 3.5 hours' time, at which time he will speak with forces here at Yokota Air Base. That's where we touch down. That's where he'll touch down. There's 14,000 people stationed here. He'll likely be speaking to a crowd of several thousand. Let's show you some pictures from Honolulu just a short time ago as Air Force One took off into the sky as the president makes his first trip to Asia. This will be a lot about security, in particular North Korea. You mentioned that. He'll be having talks with Shinzo Abe about what to do about North Korea. He'll also be visiting several other countries, which we'll detail for you in just a moment. But trade will also be a big issue here because the United States has trade deficits with pretty much all of the countries that the president is going to be visiting, and he wants to do something about that. The president yesterday in Hawaii stopped off to speak to the troops at the airbase there, where he touched down, also spent some time at the memorial of the USS Arizona with the First Lady, Melania Trump. The two of them placed a wreath into the water and threw pakake petals, those white petals, into the water as well. And take a look at this photograph. This is a particularly poignant moment. There's the Chief of Staff, the former general, retired General John Kelly, in front of the Wall of the Fallen at the USS Arizona Memorial. And we heard from him the day that he was so angered about what was going on regarding that condolence call to the fallen soldier in Niger, that he went and walked among the stones at Arlington National Cemetery. So John Kelly paying his respects there at the memorial for the USS Arizona to the sailors who died there on December 7th, 1941. And back here in Tokyo at the Yokota Air Base, the president will be embarking on the longest tour of Asia that a U.S. president has done in pretty much a quarter century. George H.W. Bush was the last one to embark on a tour this long. The president will stop here first in Japan, then he's going to Seoul, South Korea, then from there he's going to Da Nang in Vietnam, then Hanoi, then it will be off to Beijing, China, and then we finish up the trip in Manila, where the president now will be spending a couple of days. His daughter, Melania Trump, was already here. She just left, actually. She was here on Friday. She was speaking at a women's empowerment forum in Tokyo, also had dinner with Shinzo Abe, the prime minister. The president will be having lunch with Shinzo Abe, and then he's going to be playing golf today with both Abe and Hideki Matsuyama, who is number 4 in the world ranking in terms of professional golfers. So the president has got a busy schedule, starting off with doing something, Eric, that he likes to do probably above all else. Good round of golf here in Japan.
Yeah, and a lot of meaningful talks, and of course we all must remember John Kelly's service and thank him, and as well Lieutenant Robert Kelly, who you referenced, died in Afghanistan in 2010. John, thank you. Arthel.
In Washington, claims by former acting DNC chair Donna Brazile painting a grim picture of the Democratic Party during the 2016 campaign. In her new book, Brazile seems to back up allegations that the race for the Democratic nomination was tipped in Hillary Clinton's favor. Ellison Barber now with more in Washington.
Donna Brazile, Hillary Clinton, and the DNC. It's the story most of Washington is talking about. As President Trump headed towards Marine One Friday, he stopped and said this.
You want to look at Hillary Clinton, and you want to look at the new book that was just put out by Donna Brazile, where she basically bought the DNC and she stole the election from Bernie.
Criticism is coming from both sides of the aisle after former interim DNC chairperson Donna Brazile published an excerpt of her new book in Politico magazine. It accused the Clinton campaign and the DNC of entering into, in her words, an unethical fundraising agreement before Clinton won the nomination. The agreement in question was leaked to a number of media outlets. First, NBC News. It said in exchange for helping the deeply in debt DNC raise money, staff with Hillary for America would have, quote, joint authority over strategic decisions like staffing, budget, and communications. The agreement said it applied to the general election and not the Democratic primary. It also said the DNC could enter similar agreements with other candidates. Some Democrats say point blank the DNC rigged the election and changes need to be made.
Very quickly, Senator, do you agree with the notion that it was rigged?
Yes. We must bring about real campaign finance reform. We must get rid of the undemocratic system of superdelegates.
According to the Washington Post, the DNC chair and deputy chair both pledged to reform the party in light of these allegations. When it comes to those fundraising committees, the joint fundraising committees, DNC Chairman Tom Perez says both of them have been shut down. Arthel?
Ellison Barber, thank you. Eric?
Now, Arthel, the Washington Post reporting another stunning excerpt from Donna Brazile's book. The newspaper says that at one point, she seriously considered former Vice President Joe Biden to actually replace Hillary Clinton as the Democratic nominee. That after Mrs. Clinton fainted at the 9/11 ceremony in New York in 2016. Ms. Brazile writing that she considered the switch in part because the Clinton campaign was, in her word, anemic and had taken on the, quote, odor of failure. But apparently, in order for Brazile to dump Mrs. Clinton, she would have needed the nominee's agreement and the approval of the DNC board.
To the Republicans now in the GOP tax plan, which is drawing criticism from both sides of the aisle. Democrats are blasting the bill, saying it only benefits the wealthy, while some Republicans are taking issue with the elimination of state and local deductions. Garrett Tenney is live in Washington with more. Hey, Garrett.
Hey, Arthel, tax reform and tax cuts are typically a bit of a balancing act. And if you're going to cut taxes in one area, you usually need to make up for that lost revenue. And that's what Republicans are trying to do in their current plan by offsetting their tax cuts by lowering or eliminating a number of deductions. The two big ones that are receiving a lot of attention on Capitol Hill are the elimination of deductions for state and local taxes and the lowering of the mortgage interest deduction from $1 million to $500,000. Those changes don't mean a whole lot if you live in states with low taxes and cheap housing prices, but in states like New York and New Jersey and California, where taxes and housing are among the highest in the country, it has a big impact. The administration argues that this change will ensure the tax system is fair for everyone, though, regardless of where they live. But a handful of Republican lawmakers from New York and New Jersey say they cannot support this bill if those items aren't changed.
There are some people who say that they're subsidizing from other states. They say that they're subsidizing New York. You look at tax policy and spending policy, and New York is a net contributor, sending more to Washington than we get back.
This week, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said the president is focused on simplifying the tax code by cutting out exemptions and ensuring the middle class gets a tax cut, even if it means that higher income earners end up paying more.
Let me just explain. For middle class people in those states, there will be tax cuts. For rich people, people like me, the president, and others, we will get tax increases. And that's what we said all along.
Now,